Dear ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure for me to speak to you today. The current COVID-19 pandemic brings a new light to this conference that I was planning to attend in person in Zagreb back in April. Let me start by thanking the School of Medicine of the University of Zagreb and the Croatian Ministry of Science and Education for their efforts in making today's event happen. Speaking on behalf of the Commission, I'm particularly happy that your work has benefited from funding by Horizon 2020. This proves once again the importance of our funding and highlights the positive synergies it creates at European level. My address to you today is a partial preview of the report I am planning to publish this very month on the impact of demographic change in the European Union. In drafting it, I have devoted a particular attention to the trend of aging societies in the European Union and the set of challenges it brings in relation to healthcare, the provision of services of the social expenditure. The Commission was on the front line of the COVID-19 fight already in January or early this year, when we invested 10 million euros in research. Since then, we have scaled up our interventions. We may have had a slow start, but we learned from it, and the real European Union stood up and showed its true self. European Union finance ministers approved 500 billion euros to support the economy. This is vital. European solidarity is also clear from the 800 million euros we have made available from the European Union Solidarity Fund. The coronavirus global response pledging event launched in May by President von der Leyen registers an initial 7.4 billion euros in pledges from donors worldwide for collaborative development and universal deployment of diagnostics, treatment and vaccines. And the next step is the revamped multi-annual financial framework that will give the European Union the additional firepower necessary to respond decisively to the most urgent challenges. COVID-19 highlighted the importance of addressing demographic challenges. First, the virus has not hit every member state in the same way. A better understanding of a country's age structure, its population concentrations, household structures, or intergenerational interactions can help predict the burden of critical cases and aid in more precise planning. Authorities at all levels are working on such plans and can benefit from this type of support and information. Currently, all our efforts go into protecting our citizens and addressing the negative consequences of the ongoing crisis. But we need to ensure that we put the European Union on a path of a sustainable recovery and growth. So we must look at other key changes impacting our society, such as the green and digital transformations and, of course, demographic change. This is one of the areas I focus in my role as Vice President for Democracy and Demography. For the European Union, what does demography change mean today? It means an aging population, low birth rates, and decreasing working age population. Changes in this area significantly affect our economy, our social and employment policies, and public finance. Not to mention territorial cohesion. Addressing this impact on our citizens and regions is a key priority for the Commission. It has to be. Why? The European Union's population is aging. Over the last 50 years, life expectancy at birth has increased by about 10 years for both men and women. Yes, this is a great achievement. We are living longer with good living standards. However, living standards and social security are not the same everywhere. Approximately 31 million citizens live in low-income regions with a fast declining population. Living longer in better health is one of the highest expectations of European citizens. This brings challenges and opportunities for individuals and societies. Here, research and innovation have a role to play. We need to use our strengths and knowledge to prepare for the future in a wise way. Dear ladies and gentlemen, how can we best support people and regions to adapt to changing realities? Evidence in my upcoming Commission report on the impact of demographic change will help identify the people and regions most affected by demographic change. The report is the basis for a well-informed policy debate and paves the way for a green paper on aging and a forthcoming long-term vision for rural areas. This work on demographic change plays an important role in the aftermath of COVID-19 and in supporting long-term growth, managing both the present and the future. I want your conference today to directly feed into the shaping of the Green Paper on Aging that will launch the reflection on European Union level on the demographic challenges linked to the aging societies in the Union. The report I am about to publish points to the fact that by 2070 only every second person will be of working age. We need to look at increasing labor market participation through supporting people in remaining healthy and ensuring attitudes towards older members of the labor market are positive and constructive, while at the same time facing the challenge of adapting our societies and social systems to the needs of the growing group of older people. Pensions play an important role in enabling older people to age with dignity. My report will demonstrate how important services are to older people, especially long-term care and health care. They are essential to their well-being, and demand for these services will increase steeply with population aging. They must be accessible, affordable, and of good quality. Long-term care is the most important of them along with health care. The European Social Fund and European Regional and Development Fund are essential tools to cover current gaps. As the European population ages, healthcare costs will likely increase from 6% of gross domestic product in 2020 to 7.5% in 2050. This, in turn, calls for increasing our reliance on prevention, community support, and innovative practices. Active aging has a role in addressing current and foreseeable needs of the older people. By fostering comprehensive policies that address health, safety, participation in work, and volunteering activities, education, social and sport activity, there is a large potential for longer, healthier, and more active lives. The current health crisis has impacted the oldest members of our society disproportionately. Older people, especially those with chronic diseases and disabilities, are facing a much higher mortality rate due to COVID-19 compared to other age groups. Long-term care systems have been strongly affected by this pandemic. Figures about high mortality rates in care homes have highlighted the difficulties of long-term care systems in coping with the crisis. The pandemic further risks increasing loneliness and social isolation, making it more difficult to assist older people in health and social needs. Social distancing could also bring increased loneliness, in particular for old people who live alone. The majority of those are women. It is at the heart of our European values to make sure our elderly receive the healthcare they deserve in a non-discriminatory, respectful way. This means protecting and restoring health in the best possible way, but also fighting socioeconomic difficulties, not least when it comes to isolation. Protecting the vulnerable is and will remain an essential part of our common European values. In the COVID-19 crisis, we have pulled together to protect the weak and keep our health systems working. We are joining forces to deliver high-quality and affordable healthcare innovations. Research and innovation in healthcare and health systems are key to ensure better protection of older people, achieve the breakthroughs needed by an aging society, and provide evidence for policy responses to the demographic changes. As I already mentioned, our coronavirus pledging event registered an initial 7.4 billion euros from donors worldwide for development and deployment of diagnostics, treatments, and vaccines. To help reach the objectives of the coronavirus global response, 1 billion euros will be mobilized under the European Union flagship program for research and innovation, Horizon 2020. Since January 2020, a total of 352 million euros has already been mobilized under Horizon 2020, including for new research projects to advance understanding of the epidemic, contribute to more efficient clinical management of patients infected with the virus, as well as to public health preparedness and response. Efforts do not stop here. A second call for expression of interest was published in May, and I invite you to follow the updated dedicated website. Healthy aging can only be achieved with health promotion and disease prevention activities from early ages and throughout life, reducing the high economic burden of non-communicable diseases and reducing pressure on healthcare and social systems. Horizon 2020 supports key issues for healthy aging and population such as multimorbidity, better rehabilitation, polypharmacy, preventing falls, and studying social inequalities. The next framework program, Horizon Europe 2021 to 2027, will further maximize the impact of research and innovation for a healthier and more inclusive society. The digital transformation of health and care is another key aspect to support an aging population, improve their quality of life, and enable the economic sustainability of health and social care systems. Research and innovation will be crucial to deliver person-centered approaches to organizing health and care. However, digitalization can also increase inequalities, as these tools are often less accessible in remote rural regions due to the lack of high-speed internet connections, and older adults also tend to have lower rates of digital literacy. The European society, while aging, has many positive aspects. This is reflected in the silver economy that highlights the immense economical resource that Europe's older citizens constitute. The economic potential of the silver economy is very high in terms of technological innovation, investments, growth, and jobs. It could also provide much-needed solutions associated with aging, such as promoting active life, health and well-being, transport, housing, and much more. If we can gather the knowledge, good ideas, and resources of Europeans, old and young, to find solutions and implement them, we will be able to build a stronger and safer European society for the future and a better future for healthy aging, like the title of your conference rightly says. Dear ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude with this thought. COVID-19 has reminded us all that we live in a world of uncertainty and risk. Our best protection is to invest in resilience. Your conference today provides a much-needed opportunity for us to discuss how can we together best stimulate research and innovation for the health and well-being of the aging population, and more widely, how research and innovation can support more resilient societies. I look forward to your policy paper with recommendations to feed into my green paper on aging, which I intend to proceed with after the adoption of my demography report. I'm confident that this event will highly contribute to our reflection on how to ensure that we can all enjoy a healthy and active present and future, where no person and no region is left behind, and how to ultimately create a better future in the European Union for healthy aging. Thank you very much, and looking forward to receiving your contribution to the reflections on aging I'll be launching after the publication of my demography report.